Hello, guys. My name is Levi, and welcome to the podcast, The Balance. Today, I'm with Mohammed, the owner of Precision Accounting. Mohammed, thank you so much for your time. Could you give yourself a short introduction for the listener?
Hi, my name's Mohammed. I own a business in UAE called Precision Accounting, and it's a boutique tax firm that's mostly aimed at SMEs. And we just try to expand and grow our business here. It's going pretty well, and more or less that's about it.
Perfect. All right. So, in this podcast, we really want to dive into your story, you as a person, how you started, more about your firm, and also like your vision, of course. So, could you tell us a little bit more about your background and how you started and what the journey was like so far?
So initially, when I got out of college, there wasn't a developed finance sector or things of that nature in the UAE. So the most linked path towards my field of study was the structuring environment inside UAE, people creating complex structures. I got into that business for about 2 to 3 years, and then I wanted something a bit more adjacent to my field of study. So I got into tax, did that for about another 3 years, and then I thought I think I could do this better, so I started my own accounting firm right after that. So about 8 to 9 years inside the industry, and all inside the UAE.
Nice. And that's what is right now Precision Accounting. I also saw on your LinkedIn page that it's called a boutique tax firm. Could you elaborate on that?
Yep. So I feel like a lot of accounting firms, when they open up inside the UAE, they just want to capture every single demographic of client, big clients, small clients. I didn't think that was a viable strategy for a thriving, sustainable business. So I very much cater to SMEs, small to medium-sized businesses, usually that have 1 to 4 shareholders, not more than that. And I do get inquiries about larger firms, and I usually tell them, hey, maybe you should look at a larger firm that has additional resources that could probably serve you better. But it's very focused on SMEs for my business. Yeah.
That's interesting. All right. And for your current business, what would you say is right now like the biggest challenge that you're facing at the moment?
Well, I put a lot of thought before even beginning my firm. I think I spent about 5 to 6 months really thinking and deconstructing what an accounting firm is and what it should do. And then really making sure that I had the most efficient, lean business catered for my demographic. So I think that accounting is one of those legacy businesses that is kind of stuck in their ways. But I guess the biggest challenge was figuring out, okay, what is fluff and what is the actual product or service that people are looking for, and adapting it to 2025 and how things are going to go moving forward.
Okay, that makes sense. And what is your perspective on the future of accounting and that in combination with like your firm?
I think that it's really interesting because people no longer want super specialists. They do need their specialists in their respective fields, but I think that there's a lot of hybrid consulting happening these days. So, for example, I do both structuring and tax. Some of the people that I hire do tax and compliance. So, I think that what I see in the future as new technologies emerge or how people are starting to work is kind of dual specializations being offered by consultants and accountants, and it's diversifying their skill set besides just singularly accounting or tax. It seems to be people have to pick up more skill sets to kind of bring value to their clientele now, and that's what the expectation seems to be.
And what are you planning with your firm for the future? What is like the goal or the thing that you're working towards?
I think the goal that I'm working towards specifically is kind of bringing up the kind of evolving the entire approach towards accounting. For example, I don't think that a strict 9 to 5 model works for business owners these days. People work in multiple time zones, they work odd hours, and a lot of business owners, when you have a massive tax bill that's due over the weekend and you can't reach your accountant after 6 p.m., well, guess what? You're going to sleep stressed or worried. So I think that was a problem I wanted to solve, that you get clarifications or answers at any point of any day, regardless of your work cycle, and make sure that you get the advice and kind of relief you're looking for when you engage with an accounting firm, just to secure a more modern day approach towards accounting.
Yeah. So does that mean that you're like more available? Because I already also read something on I believe in your LinkedIn, or it's something we already talked about, that you're available 24/7. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, so I think that this all sort of began during the COVID area, where One of the positives that came out of COVID for me was that we kind of started to rethink how people work. I saw the previous accounting firm that I worked for scale by over 200, 300% because people started working from home and they started working different and odd hours, providing services that were off office hours because they were waking up late, etc. And I really saw something here. I saw the ability for how people work to evolve. You'll notice when you go to work, there's a lot of downtime where you're chit-chatting around a water cooler or you're kind of socializing and you're not really working because the work isn't there for you to do. So I think my perspective is that the people that I hired or the way I operate is I'm there when the client needs me, as opposed to being there for a fixed number of hours every day and creating a strict barrier between work and personal life.
I understand. So it's not that you or your employees work a typical 9 to 5. It's just that they have got their responsibilities, I assume. They can, like, clients can always reach out to you.
Yeah, and I think that what's interesting is that we're getting more done working less work hours than we would from 9 to 5. There isn't a massive commute. If you have a meeting at 9 p.m., well, okay, take it at 9 p.m. It doesn't matter. And what you'll end up seeing is you'll end up saving a lot of time coordinating, commuting, kind of segregating your personal life and your work life together and making sure that you're there when the client needs you. I think tends to compound with time. So if there's a problem you can solve today, try to solve it today as opposed to leaving it to tomorrow and letting it bleed into the rest of the week.
Exactly. Especially if it's after 5 p.m., it can still be fixed.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how I feel is I rather finish this thing that's going to keep me up all night now rather than delaying it to the next day or even past the weekend.
Yeah. You prefer a good night of sleep.
I prefer, yeah. I'm a night owl. I've slowly starting to convince my clients that I actually don't sleep and I'm actually a ethereal vampire of some sort that just texts back at 3 a.m. But they don't know I wake up at like 11, 10. No one texts me in the morning, so it's perfect.
Makes sense. All right. Okay, cool. And where does this come from? Like, why is this so important to you
Well,
and your firm?
I think, look, the 9 to 5 was invented by Henry Ford in the 18th century for car manufacturing. Now, with all due respect to Henry Ford, I doubt he knows a lot about building an accounting firm in 2025. I think that we have been given all these tools and technologies that we've integrated into our workflow, but we haven't expanded the kind of time framework or time flexibility to its maximum efficiency either. So I think that it's very important that we try something different, try something new to improve on what the current model is.
Yeah. And it's working, right?
It's 100% working. I doubled the amount of expected client growth. I'm going to surely surpass it. My 5-year plan has turned into a 3-year plan just from the rate of growth that I've been expecting for my firm, which is a challenge in its own sense. I can see certain cracks of systems that I had placed, and I'm having to upgrade and change them to accommodate for the rate of growth as well. But good problems to have, definitely good problems to have.
Of course. It's better to have problems that you're growing too quick than that you're not growing at all.
Yeah, I think my head of tax said you need to slow down, and I told her you need to sleep less and help me out here and hire more people and get this done. Because when you have lightning in a bottle, you can't slow down. You shouldn't slow down. Absolutely not.
Yeah, 100%. And what do you think is the main reason for the really impressive growth that you've been going through like the past period?
I think it's just, like people just love convenience, right? Like I think at the end of the day, I've just beaten out my competitors off of convenience. If you could stream something on Netflix, why would you wait for commercials or downtime on TV anymore? I think that there is going to be a slow shift, like a very natural organic shift from people that worked around a fixed schedule or towards people that work around the clock. And what you'll find out is that it's a win-win for everyone involved. The employees are happy because they get more of their personal time back. The clients are happy because their needs are met instantly. Business owners like myself are much happier as well because you kind of spread out the freedoms of a business owner to average everyday employees, which I think is wonderful. Like everyone that's under my employment goes on vacation 4 times a year. When they're not working, they're at the beach or spending time with their families, which I think is very, very important to me. And I think that was one of the core principles as well, is just making sure that you were free to work in the most efficient way possible and weren't kind of bogged down by old standards.
Yeah. That's really cool. So your clients are super happy because they get loads of guidance and working with you is super convenient, but the same thing for your employees, basically.
Yeah, I didn't want to kind of gatekeep the freedoms that I have. I think that, especially with the younger generation, I think the desire to kind of find a good work-life balance is very, very important to them. And as long as I'm accommodating that, I found that I'm hiring people that could easily make more money working for a much larger firm, but the trade-offs weren't worth it. So it's all about making the right trade-offs to making sure everyone's happy.
Interesting. Okay. And are there other things that you're doing at the moment to either make the life of your employees more convenient and nicer, and the same thing for your clients?
I think the one biggest advantage I had is that, and you pointed this out, that I was fairly young. We're both around 33. And I think that I grew up when technology was emerging, so I became fairly literate on creating IT infrastructure on the back end. I know my way around several operating systems. So I didn't have to, and I was in the industry for over 8 years. So
Hmm.
things such as data collection, implementation of new resources, um, I guess the biggest advantage or things that really made it easier was not only just implementing generic software, but the best software for our use cases helps speed up a lot of the workflows for everyone involved.
All right. All right. And are you also already like implementing certain things now with everybody's talking about it? AI, obviously, within your
I'm
firm?
really compliance and KYCs are a nightmare, and I'm
Hmm.
really on the hunt for a good, KYC process that could be automated via AI, because that's something that could so be done very easily from an AI. I think that a lot of firms had reached out to me just on feedback on what we would need to create this product or service, and I don't think it's there yet, because right now AI is this kind of raw, untamed, but very powerful resource, but I think that there needs to be some tinkering to discover how it's going to fit in each business's use case. So
Hmm.
I'm likely going to implement some sort of KYC process that is AI related. We've already begun using AI for specific simplistic drafts. Of course, anything with liability is just completely off the table for AI, just for security purposes, but not only that, but the liability is too high to let any machine do that. But there are this outer shell of services that don't really matter that could be done with AI.
Yeah. Yeah. And you said that you're in the industry for 8 years now. What is like the biggest change or the biggest thing that you've seen happening regarding like the growth of social media, AI, just technology in general? Because in 8 years' time, there has been a lot of things changed. I assume also in the accounting space.
I think that what I really realized is that you got to be loud. You got to be out there. You got to be on podcasts like this. You need to be very front facing now. I think that one of the things that really pushed me to become more active on social media and do every podcast or put out reels and things of that nature is that sometimes the most talented people don't win. It's actually the people that are the loudest, the people that are more out there and visible to the audience. So I think that it's become more of a game of attention. The way you convey your message, how you allow people access to your services is now sometimes even more important than the deliverables themselves. So
Hmm.
of course you want to keep both, quality of your service is the utmost importance, but it's also equally important to be visible.
Yeah. So what do you do to be visible? I saw that this is
Yeah,
not the first podcast that you're on
Yeah. So
or
I've
hosting.
started my own podcast where I have people that have worked in the field 5, 10 years. Super camera shy people. I'm telling you, it takes me 10 days of talking and convincing and twisting their arm towards finally getting them on the show and getting them comfortable, saying, "Listen, say whatever you want. I'll clip it out or I'll make you look good." But eventually, these people are kind of a well of knowledge, and I think that what I'm trying to do is not necessarily be a sales pitch whenever I'm on social media, but more on the educational front. Every podcast I put out, or video, or reel is educational in nature. And I think that that has been fairly successful in building a rapport with clients, reaching out to new and educating people that may not necessarily want my services. Well, it's better for them to know regardless and where to get their information. So I think the name of the game for me personally is being the source of information primarily, and that will automatically lead to clientele.
Yeah. All right. What is, because this is a question I'm super curious about your answer. What is one piece of advice that you would give other accounting firms that are trying to work with technology, that are trying to grow, trying to innovate? What is one piece of advice that you would give?
I would say just try something new. Like I think that accounting as an industry is led by a lot of older people that don't necessarily experiment with new software or integrations. I think that I definitely experiment constantly with workflows and software that could improve certain things. So I would say, just try to improve, and growth isn't everything. Sometimes you need to take a step back and really make sure that things can work more smoothly and more swiftly via systems.
So what is one new thing that you have tried in the past that really went extremely well
I think
for
that
you and your business?
I think like we integrated some sort of like mail scrapping software that then takes all the documents, the passports, the invoices, etc., and automatically categorizes them. Now that's probably saves an accountant 2 to 3 minutes, but then you multiply that by 50 clients that they need to do every month. You're saving hundreds of hours of productivity that's auto selected, and then of course they can manually go back and double check things. But that's one of the things we've integrated as well. We've created kind of this AI kind of say like template creator internally that allows us to make very specific types of templates for board resolutions, for certain salary certificates, etc. Very simple tools, but things that save us many hours collectively in a month.
All right. Interesting. Interesting. Sounds cool. I think that that would help a lot of other firms as well.
Well, actually, I freely provide these tools to our clients as well upon their request of saying,
Uh-huh.
hey, I need this, I need access to this. And they're pretty shocked of saying, I need this. And I just immediately give them the document or thing that they're asking for in a millisecond. And it's very impressive to them saying, okay, I don't know what kind of magic or voodoo you did. I was like, no, it's just a piece of software that we have internally that we use.
Nice. And obviously one piece of advice that you gave was that you recommend accounting firms or founders, whatever, to grow is to try new things. What are new things that you have tried that did not go well that you would like really wouldn't recommend to other people in the space?
I think that one thing, so there's this implication that the AI itself can do the accounting. And as, as like, okay, we'll see. And then we tried it once of saying, okay, we tried it with some kind of like dummy. We just made a hypothetical company with its own documents. We made a copy of what would typically be seen for a type of e-commerce business, and we asked the AI to make like everything from the submissions to everything and compared them to what our accountant would do. It was off by quite a bit. In fact, if we submitted what purely the AI did into the tax portal, it would clearly lead to like conflicts and penalties of that nature. So I think that we got a little too ambitious. Of course, even if we did implement such a thing, it would require human reviews of several layers. But then at that point, it just became too risky of a thing. The technology wasn't there yet. The system wasn't there yet for us to implement. So maybe down the line, you could have your raw data automatically implemented, but it's just not there yet.
Yeah. All right. All right. Okay. And this is one thing I'm super curious about because I'm curious about what you want to. Obviously, we already talked about your future plans with the firm, but where do you see yourself with the firm in 10 years from now?
I don't know.
And also technology wise.
That's such a hard question to ask because some days at the end of the workday, I'm like, okay, we're just going to do this for 4 or 5 more years. I'm going to place a CEO in charge. And then, a VC firm's going to appear and offer me $1 bajillion and I'll be out. But then sometimes I'm like, no, it's my baby. I'm going to keep it forever till I die. So it's hard to say. I think that what will happen is that as technology emerges, what we'll do is I think eventually the AI will take over a good chunk of the accounting process. And then eventually it will lead to accountants be retrained for more advanced tasks, such as compliance, cross-border tax. You might have people that are educated in 2 jurisdictions instead of just one. So what I see is that there'd be a slow redundancy on repetitive tasks, but that doesn't mean we're going to get rid of people. In fact, we're going to use their spare time to educate them on more knowledgeable information that they could use. So I think that the accountants themselves are going to become more global and more educated on more things because they have more time to study for them.
Yeah. Do you think there will ever be a time where accounting is no more needed because AI is literally able to do everything?
No, I don't think so. I think it's kind of, I think I've heard of certain scenarios. So I partner with a lot of law firms for our clients as well. And I think that there have been attempts to use AI in kind of high liability situations to quite dramatic and dangerous results. So I think that people may initially try to use it for that, but they'd always want a person to review, confirm, and double check everything. So I don't think that that's going to be the case. Even if the AI is capable, I don't think that people would trust the AI completely.
Yeah, that's true. You always need that personal touch and that verification, I think.
I think it's more about just humans just being more adaptable than any machine ever, right? Like I'm sure a machine could beat the best chess master forever, but it can't drink a glass of water, right? So I think there's just the versatility of a human being cannot be matched, even if the knowledge aspect is completely overpowered.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. Mohammed, is there any last thing or last message that you would like to give to the listener or the person watching?
I guess just reach out to me if you want tax services in the UAE. My website is pacc.ae. All my social media is tagged there, and the little WhatsApp icon actually just goes straight to this phone. So if you ever want to reach out to me, it's very easy to find.
Perfect. We also put all the links to your website and everything that they need in the description below. Mohammed, thank you so much for your time, and that's it. This was the
Thanks for having me
podcast,
on,
The
Levi.
Balance.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See
All
ya.
right.